Hey, shalom, shalom, we're back. This is part 3 of Jesus and Yeshua, and I would like to relate the story of Joseph. And ironically, the story of Joseph prophetically displays the life of Yeshua the Messiah, and in Judaism, one of the names of the Messiah is called Messiah, son of Joseph, Messiah ben Yosef, the suffering servant. So, if I'm just going to make an allegory from this, and I know that allegories break down at some point and they don't always line up or aren't always accurate, but bear with me. You remember when Joseph was sold by his brothers into slavery and into Egypt. He was put in jail. He came out of jail because he could interpret some dreams, and because of that he was considered wise, and the Pharaoh basically made him vice president of Egypt, put him second in command, and put him in charge of stockpiling food for this 7 good years, so that when the 7 years of famine came, that they would have plenty of food. And it was when Joseph was in this role as vice president of Egypt that he looked like an Egyptian. He was the same Hebrew Joseph that he ever was. He was still the son of Jacob, the son of Israel, but he looked like an Egyptian because he was an Egyptian leader. He was second in command of Egypt. He was like the Egyptian vice president. And so when his brothers came because of the famine to get food from Egypt, they saw Joseph, but they didn't really see him. They saw him, but they didn't recognize him because he looked like an Egyptian, and they did not know that he was Joseph, that he was their brother. And in a similar way, because of the way that Christianity portrays Jesus, Jesus Christ, he looks like a pagan. He looks like a Gentile. He looks like an Egyptian. The Jewish people do not recognize Jesus Christ as the Messiah. Even though that he is, they don't recognize him because he doesn't look like him because of the way that Christianity has dressed him up. And it wasn't until Joseph got his brothers alone and revealed himself to say, hey, look, I may look like an Egyptian, but surprise, surprise, I'm really your brother Joseph. And he was able to save his brothers that way. And in a similar way, we as Messianic and Netzari believers need to take this Jesus Christ of Christianity and derobe him, defrock him. We need to tear off the pagan Egyptian Gentile veneer that has been placed upon him by the majority of Christianity, and show the Jewish people that he is Messiah, son of Joseph, that he is Yeshua, the Jewish Messiah, that he is Torah observant, that he does line up and fulfill prophecy. Now, when you're dealing with Orthodox Talmudic Jews, you not only have to convince them that Jesus Christ is Yeshua the Messiah, and debunk all the misconceptions of how Christians have portrayed Messiah, but you also have to convince them that their doctrine is wrong, that their doctrine is this Johnny-come-lately of Judaism, because after the non-believing Jews broke away from the believing Jews, the non-believing Jews started to reinterpret their scripture, reinterpret their doctrine, and they started so as to separate themselves from the believing Jews. So they started to create this reactionary doctrine to separate themselves and to make it so that Yeshua, that Jesus is not really the Messiah. So what you have to do is show these Orthodox Talmudic Jews that if you go past the 1st century back to what these rabbis and sages taught prior to the 1st century, that you'll find that the teachings and the doctrines and the interpretations of Messianic prophecy totally fulfill and line up with Yeshua the Messiah. And so that's kind of the tough thing that you got to do. Now, in the realm of Christianity and Messianic or Netzari Judaism, there needs to be a bridge of understanding. There needs to be a bridge built between these two peoples. The Christians, the modern day Christians, need to understand the Jewishness of Messiah. Need to understand, their origins, their roots, the history of the Christian church, and all this stuff, and how they broke away. How I mentioned and explained all that earlier. And they need to see the Jewishness of Jesus, the Jewishness of Messiah. They need, more importantly than that, to see that the Torah is not a bondage. They've been misinformed. They've been lied to. That the Torah is applicable and relevant for the believer today. And once unity starts to gel in that arena, then together they can effectively create a bridge between the believers, the believing Jews and Gentiles, and the non-believing Jews, so that the non-believing Jews can see that Yeshua not only is Messiah and fulfills Messianic prophecy, but that the Gentile and Jewish believers believe in keeping and walking the Torah. So this is a hard row to hoe. It's a hard mission. It's one of the last frontiers of missions, along with Islam. And that's also considered the last frontier of missions. But these are important concepts and important things to understand and to grasp, so we can effectively reach out and minister to our Christian brothers and sisters, and we can also effectively reach out and minister to our non-believing Jewish brothers and sisters. So hopefully this series on Jesus and Yeshua has been very informative, edifying, and enlightening. And maybe I'll continue. I might add a part 4. I don't know yet, but right now I kind of think I've said everything that I need to say. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support and your prayers. And we'll see you next time. Shalom and Shavua Tov.